Hi, welcome to my second book haul video of the year. The start of this year, I decided I was going to do a book haul every other month because I was convinced that would be enough, that there wouldn't be enough books to do a monthly book haul, especially whilst all the shops are still shut. I appear to have greatly underestimated my ability to acquire books because I'm sure in January the haul was about 19 books-ish, and yeah, so February's haul is here. I am sat on the floor, well, on a pillow on the floor, and yeah, I am leaning on the book haul. It's that tall. We've got, I think it's another 19 books this month. I don't think I even read 19 books in February. Yet I've acquired 19 books, so I seem to have a problem. Right, I'm going to go through the ones that are books. There's only 3 of them. 3 books that are like what I am collecting. Okay, so the first one is Fragile Lives by Stephen Westerby. Or shall I say Professor Stephen Westerby. I have read this as an ebook, and it's a medical memoir of a heart surgeon. It is just incredible. Each chapter focuses on a different patient and a different type of heart problem or heart surgery. There is one chapter in here that is very, very close to my heart, no pun intended. I had one of these operations. I was in heart failure when I was 6 weeks old, and I had open heart surgery, and yeah, so that was one of the operations in here, and it was just insane reading about it, like what actually happens, what happened to me. Yeah, it was just crazy. It was really weird reading it, but this is absolutely fantastic. It was one of the best medical memoirs I've ever read, and because I've already read it, I purchased it to put on my medical memoir shelf to keep. And then I'm sure you can see that I collect the Harry Potter books. Not going to go into the J.K. Rowling issue. I don't support her. I support Harry Potter. And so I collect all the different editions whenever I find them in charity shops. And I think this one was from a charity bookstall in a supermarket because none of the charity shops are open. So this is, I think they did like a range of adult covers of the Harry Potter books. This is the Philosopher's Stone. That's just going to go up on my collection shelf. Then the next one is The Walking Dead, The Road to Woodbury. I've got a couple of Walking Dead books that I've been collecting. Very often it's the same book that I see in the charity shops, which is The Rise of the Governor. So as soon as I saw this on the charity bookstall, I just had to get it because it's very rare that I see a different title. And then we'll move on to the books that my husband got me for Valentine's Day. They are full of romance. Only kidding, that's not me. Okay, so we'll start with Bang Bang You're Dead by Narinder Dharmi. This is a book about a school shooting. It is middle grade, so I'm hoping that it's not going to be too hard hitting. I don't know what I want to say, maybe too emotional, but I'll still cry. I always do. So we follow a girl called Mia who her school comes under fire from a shooting, and she suspects that it is her brother who is the shooter. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. I had it on my wish list. He bought it for me. I might read that this month actually for middle grade March. Hey, I said it right. I said the readathon right. Oh my god. Right, so the next one is The Programme by Suzanne Young. I've had this on my wish list for years. This is YA dystopian. So it's set in a time where teen depression and suicide is an epidemic. The rates are like super high. So all the teens are extremely frightened of showing their emotions or expressing that they're sad about anything or stressed about anything because they could end up in something called the programme. And teens who end up in the programme when they come back, they're just not the same person anymore. Fair enough, the depression has gone, but all the memories and all the happy emotions have also gone. So we follow Sloane, who is trying her best to not let people know that she's unhappy with how things are going, and her sibling, I don't know what happened to them, but it just says that sibling has been lost. So I think she's terrified of going into this program, and she turns to one of her friends to help, and they're desperately trying to make things better so they don't have to end up in the program. Then I've picked up Last Time I Lied. This was from the community book club that I volunteer at. I spotted this one and brought it home. I didn't know anything about this book before I picked it up. I just saw Riley Sager, and that was it. I was sold, because I've read a couple of Riley Sagers over the last few months and really enjoyed them. So this is a thriller. We follow a woman called Emma. When she was young, 3 of her friends went into the woods and never came out, and nobody ever figured out the story of what happened to them. And it talks about how at that point it was when Emma learned to lie. Now Emma is older, she gets asked to go back into that area and start up a summer camp or help run a summer camp. She thinks she's going back to lay old memories to rest, but other people think she's going back revisiting the crime scene, and that her innocence is the biggest lie that she's ever told. And that's about it. I don't know anything else. It just sounds intriguing, and I love the author. Now this next one is really controversial. Me and a friend who I buddy read with every month, we both have this same kind of view of controversial books, as in we don't want to listen to everybody else to a point. We want to read the book ourselves and listen to all the opinions, and then develop our own opinion and understand why some people are saying what they're saying, if that makes sense. I'm not saying I disregard other people's opinions straight away. I just want to read it myself, then I understand why they're saying that. Anyway, so we both purchased Tampa by Alyssa Nutting. That is not a vagina, that is a buttonhole. It's a buttonhole. Right, so although it could, I don't know, portray one or be representative of one, because this book is said to be like the gender mixed, like role reversal of My Daughter Vanessa. I don't know, I think this one came out first though. Yeah, it did. And so we've got a teacher who is female. She is an 8th grade teacher, and she has a sexual obsession with 14-year-old boys. Her husband doesn't know anything about it, and she manages to like charm and lure one of her students into her web. And she's kind of like visiting him in the evenings when his single father is still at work. No idea what happens after that. That's all I know. Even just from reading the synopsis, that's all I know. I just know it's very controversial, and not to everybody's taste, but I will give anything a go. Right, the next 3 are a bit dusty. The next 3 are, that might be slightly better. The Soterian Mission, Revenge of the Zeds, The Salvation Project by Stuart Ross. This is a trilogy. It was this one that I spotted first that got my attention, because Zeds, and I was like, Zeds, zombies. And then I picked it up and I was like, yep, they look like zombies. And it talks about a mutation in human DNA, which has resulted in a world where nobody lives beyond the age of 19. And that was all I needed to know. This is actually the first book of the series. Looking at it, it's not middle grade, but I don't think it's particular. I think it's lower end of YA, just from having a skim through it. I have looked on Goodreads for some information about these books. It seems that there's only about 6 people ever read them. So there's not much information. Nobody's tagged it as anything. Like there's no tags of the age category or the genre or anything. So maybe I was quite lucky to spot these on the charity stall, because yeah, I am all for the zombies. Next up, I picked up from the book club Rose West, The Making of a Monster by Jane Carter Woodrow. All I know is it's about Rose West, and I do like reading about serial killers. Look at you all shocked. It's about Rose West, that is it. I'm assuming it starts in her childhood and goes through until, you know, her crimes, basically. Yeah, it says, taking the reader on a journey from her childhood through to her becoming the country's biggest and most infamous female sexual predator and serial killer. Sounds awesome. Can't wait to read that one. Then I cannot be the only person that does this. I really can't. I don't even know what this book is about. I just saw Sean Hudson, and I know that he has got a lot of classic, like, vintage horror books out there. I own Slugs. I definitely own Slugs, and I feel like I own another Sean Hudson, but for the life of me I can't remember what it is. I haven't even read Slugs yet, but it just sounds and looks awesome, doesn't it? Slugs. Right, Death Day by Sean Hudson. 400 years ago, a woman died in agony to keep it secret and went to her grave with it hung around her neck. Now, in a desolate graveyard, a workman has unearthed the amulet by chance and decides to keep it. His first mistake. That night, the village of Medford is plunged into a nightmare of terror by the discovery of a double murder and mutilation, the first in a series of shocking killings. Wherever the amulet is found, ancient evil, hideous, powerful and vile, is once again reborn. That's what I know about that book. Then we've got Read by Dawn, Volume 3, which leads me to believe there's a Volume 1 and 2 out there. This is an anthology of horror stories. I am not a big lover of anthologies. In fact, I try and avoid them because I'm always really disappointed, because there's always a few stories that are like amazing and then a few that are real terrible, and it just brings down the whole feel of the book. So I don't know why I even bought this, but I did. So it's got things in like a family leave their pet in the care of a teenager while on holiday and come to sorely regret it. A boy sneaks downstairs in the small hours of Christmas Day and finds a big surprise in the tinsel. I'm going to guess that it's not a really cool present. A couple investigate a too good to be true property for sale and learn why nobody's buying. The collection also introduces a variety of innovative approaches to childcare, demonstrates that breakfast doesn't have to be a mundane affair, and is sure to satisfy the morbid appetites of every fan of the genre. This is another book that I've gone on to Goodreads to find out more information about, because it's like the writing is, I don't know how to explain it, but it looks like it's aimed at younger people. The size of the writing, the layout, but only 16 people have ever left a rating for this book, and there's only one review. So I think it's another of those that I somehow have managed to find out of the depths of hell. Oh, next up is another one I'm collecting. I missed this one. I am a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, even now, all these years later. And I collect the books whenever I see them. I haven't actually read any of them yet because I wanted to get a set before I do, but it's going on my shelf to collect. Right, this one was just another impulse purchase from the charity bookstore in the supermarket, and it's Without Consent by Catherine Fox. I used to absolutely love the Patricia Cornwell series, what else? Temperance Brennan series, and it does kind of compare them to those. Catherine Fox has created a forensic physician who readers of Patricia Cornwell will adore, and that is why I bought it. Even though I don't read those books anymore, it's not that I don't want to, I just haven't gone back to them, but they were what got me into the thriller genre. So this one, there's been a series of very brutal rapes and then the women end up being murdered after the rape. So the killer or the rapist, whatever you want to call him, is like escalating, and it's up to a forensic physician to get on his trail. Right, this one was purchased at the same time as Without Consent, and again, it was another like, oh, that looks like a cool thriller. The Child by Fiona Barton. This says, when a paragraph in an evening newspaper reveals a decades-old tragedy, most readers barely give it a glance. But for three strangers, it's impossible to ignore. For one woman, it's a reminder of the worst thing that ever happened to her. For another, it reveals the dangerous possibility that her darkest secret is about to be discovered. And for the third, a journalist, it's the first clue in a hunt to uncover the truth. The child's story will be told. It's got like recommendations by Claire McIntosh, Lee Child, Shari Lapina. It sounds good. Oh, we're going back to children's books. So this is another one that would be good for middle grade March. It's Running on Empty by S.E. Durant. All I did was read the few lines on the back and was like, yeah, that sounds really good. The thing that makes me different from other 11-year-old boys, apart from my fantastic running ability, is that my parents have learning difficulties. It's no big deal for me, really it isn't. I don't look after them, we look after each other. I have a feeling that this is going to be a roller coaster ride of emotions, but it sounds really good. I haven't ever read a book that's told from a young carer's perspective, and certainly not one that is aimed at middle grade children. So hoping that I can read that first and pass it on to my son. Right, this next one is Sleepers, A True Story, When Friendship Runs Deeper Than Blood by Lorenzo Carcaterra, possibly. So we've got four boys who are all at school together. They play a prank and it goes horribly wrong, and they end up being sent to a reformatory school. Whilst there, they are subject to absolutely horrendous abuse within the system, and when they finally become of an age to get out, one of them becomes a lawyer, one becomes a journalist, and two of them end up as hitmen for some kind of gang. And when they are the two that are the hitmen, they end up finding themselves face to face with one of the torturers or abusers from when they was children, and they shoot him dead. It all goes to trial, and these four friends are brought back together during the trial to talk about what led to that point. And I just think that sounds horrible, to be honest. Don't know why I bought it. I think that's going to be very, very interesting, but very, very hard to read. There's dates here in the 60s, so it looks like it is set in the 60s, yeah. 68, 66, yeah. So it's set in the 60s. What I'll probably do is read that and then do a bit more research myself. Right, and the last book I would like to tell you about today is Next by Michael Crichton. I know obviously because of Jurassic Park and some of his other books that it's sci-fi basically. And so it says, is a loved one missing some body parts? Are blondes becoming extinct? Is everyone at your dinner table of the same species? Humans and chimpanzees differ in only 400 genres. Is that why a chimp fetus resembles a human being? And should that worry us? There's a new genetic cure for drug addiction. Is it worse than the disease? We live in a time of momentous scientific leaps, a time when it's possible to sell our eggs and sperm online for thousands of dollars and to test our spouses for genetic maladies. We live in a time when 1/5 of all our genes are owned by someone else, and an unsuspecting person and his family can be pursued cross-country because they happen to have certain valuable genes within their chromosomes. Next blends fact and fiction into a breathless tale of a new world where nothing is what it seems, and a set of new possibilities can open at every turn. So it doesn't really tell you what it's about, other than it's clearly to do with genetics and science. But I'm really intrigued by this book purely based on the authors of the books. Yeah, I've no idea when I'm going to get round to those. But I'm interested in all of them, obviously. I'm excited to read all of them. And then I've just got some more that I'm putting to one side for March's haul video. Oh my god, I'm going to need a second house at this rate. Right, if you have read any of these books, any at all, please comment below, tell me what you think. I'm really intrigued because I don't think there's many of them that lots of people will have read. So I'm hoping there's someone out there that can tell me something about them. And thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon with another video. Bye.